So we are back with the 2004 Yamaha TTR 250. Last video we did get it running. We found out that it needed some carb work and the intake boot had been rigged. They cut the boot off of the airbox boot. I don't know if you can see in there. They cut it off and they put it up here on the intake, I guess because the intake boot had either broke off when they were trying to get the carburetor off, and they destroyed it. So the only thing is there is just the metal, and this is the part of the airbox boot. And I cut a little bit of it off because it was kind of real wide, and I thought maybe it was keeping, it wasn't letting the gas suck into the engine right. So we cut it off, we put it on there right, and it still wouldn't run right. It only would rev up, it wasn't idle. So then we found out that the accelerator pump in the carburetor had just disintegrated after we tore the carburetor back down. That's what's left of it. So ordered some new parts, and they finally came in. So this is a brand new intake boot. I think I got it off of Amazon. So that's the brand new factory style intake boot. And it's from China. So it's the one that's Ford AHL motorcycle. Tong Trade Co. Then we got the brand new accelerator pump. Dirt on the package there. That's a brand new accelerator pump. I think it's from All Balls. They make a lot of stuff. So there's the part number there. From 99 to 2006 TTR 250. And you can see the difference. The accelerator, the rubber is still connected where this one was disintegrated. So that was our throttle idling issue. In this plastic here, this is another rear carburetor boot. I've looked all over the place on eBay, and I found this one. It does have a little damage to it. I think it was cut. Let's get a knife and get this open. It supposedly has a cut, I think, where the carburetor goes on. But like I say, these things are really hard to find. I searched for a good while, and I could not find one. So I got this thing for 30 bucks, which I think was a good deal. He wanted 49 actually, and made him an offer because he had it make offer. But yeah, this is the boot. See, it has a cut right there, right where the clamp goes. There's a cut right there. So maybe we can still put the clamp on there. It's not tore anywhere else. The rubber there is nice and flexible. I don't see any other cracks. So probably just put some, I don't know, silicone on there and then put the clamp on it. It's actually not, yeah, it is all the way through. We'll probably just put some silicone on there and then put the clamp on it after that. Or maybe some Gorilla Tape, I don't know. If you put some silicone on it, you probably can let it sit for a while and then put the clamp on it. But we'll probably put this on last. Let's get the bike running off of the carburetor first. Then that way, if we do have to put some kind of sealant around this and then put the clamp on it, it'll be sealed. I won't have to take it back off and mess everything up. So we got that, and then I had an issue with the battery not being right. So I took that battery back to the battery place. This is supposed to be the correct battery for it. Supposed to be. I looked at 100 of them. It's a seal battery. It's the same number as the one that's supposed to go with it. So I had a problem with the post being on the opposite side, but I found out that the battery actually goes in backwards, not forward. So let's go over there and take a look at that. Hopefully I got the right battery this time, because I looked at hundreds of them, and actually I went back to the battery place when I took the old one back, and we looked up some numbers, and they didn't have the one that I needed because the post was on the opposite side. So I came back home, I did some research, and like I say, hopefully that battery is the right one. Just take the sheet off. I looked at a couple pictures, and they were showing that the battery goes in backwards like that. So yeah, this will work because the positives at the top, grounds at the bottom, but they were showing that the battery goes in backwards like that. That cable actually is, I mean, it's kind of a weird setup. But they were showing the battery goes in the battery box like that. I would think it would go like this, but they were showing that it went on like that and push your positive at the top. And man, that thing would rub. Well, I guess it can't rub because it's plastic back there. That's kind of a flimsy setup. I don't too much care for that. Seems like they would have made another spot for the battery, but it's kind of a limited for it. So the side cover gone. Cable's gonna have to go back there. These batteries are really, really expensive these days. It's kind of like, it's still like the battery's too wide. And that's supposed to be the one for it. It won't let the side cover. Maybe because it's screws on there. That is weird. I don't. Battery go this way? The battery goes in that way. So yeah, I would say the battery goes in that way. Maybe we can put the cables on the front. Because even if you well, you can't put it that way. Well, maybe the battery does go this way. But they were showing the back of the battery being out, like the bottom of it. But it seems like it fits in there better like that, and then the side cover goes on. I mean, that's all that holds it. And the screw right here. But it's supposed to have a strap around it anyway. So we'll figure something out. But I know this is the battery because the post is up top for the positive, and so we'll figure it out. So anyway, I'm gonna get started on putting this carburetor back together. And also I soaked it. It's set in the carburetor cleaner for like a week. And okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this carburetor put together before I forget how it goes together. I let this thing soak for about a week with all the parts, the bowl and the main carburetor. Turned out pretty clean. Like I say, I cleaned it out with some carb cleaner, blew some air through it, and I think she's gonna work. So I'm gonna start by putting the accelerator pump in the bowl of the carburetor. It's just this little diaphragm, and it goes straight in the bottom like that. And it comes with a spring and a O-ring. Actually, there's two O-rings in there. So you got one O-ring that goes there, and you got another O-ring that goes there around that little hole. And you have spring, which goes on top of the diaphragm, and then the little cover that goes over the top of it. And they even give you some new screws that goes in a little cover. So you don't have to crank it down super tight, but you want it tight where it won't vibrate off. So there you have it. And it's got the little spring. I can feel it pushing in and out. So we got that part situated. Now we just got to put the carb back together like we had it at first. Put all the major parts back in it. So I took the choke out, the choke slide, it just screws in there. Probably can use these needle nose, and it's hard to get a wrench around it. And there's the choke. So we got this little cover. I was seeing that some of these carburetors have a diaphragm on the side. This one doesn't have one. It's not even no kind of holes or anything drilled for gas or vacuum. So I'm thinking these little short screws go there. So got that back on. Then we got the main jets, which I went through before. Let's see, can I find that? That's back on. And we got, I'm thinking that's the idle jet, and make sure it's still clear. It drops down in there. Got the air screw. I'm running it in. I'm gonna come out like probably 2.5. I don't know how you can judge on this one because usually you can count the flats, but it's got that little star. So I'm just gonna run it out a couple turns and we'll adjust it. We got this little thing here that goes in. That is the old spring and old screws for the diaphragm cover. Got the needle and seat, or needle. First video, they had the float vent so far that it was just flooding gas. You can check that out on the first video. We straightened it out, and then come to find out the carburetor still needed some attention. So we got the float. Oh. Needle. Put that back in. We'll put the top on last. So we get the bowl gasket. Alright. Probably need to slide it on like this because that little plastic thing is going to go flying out of there. Pretty simple carburetor to take apart and put back together. I've seen worse over the years doing carburetors on motorcycles and ATVs. Then we got the top. We should have good results this time, I believe. So there we have it. It's all together. So when you hit the throttle, it should be operating that accelerator pump, because the rod comes all the way through and goes up here, and there's an arm. I should have looked at it. Well, let's take it back off right quick. Let's just make sure. Let's make sure that that's actually working. I just thought about it because sometimes you get aftermarket parts and it might not work. I want to see it work. So just for a little insurance, let's just pull this top back off right quick. Yeah, I see the rod. It's kind of hard to see, but that little, as you hit the throttle, see that little arm right here? It's kind of like a cam. It's pushing down on that plunger right there. That's what that rod is. Just wanted to make sure that worked. I see the rod up against the bottom. So I'm thinking the company All Balls, I bought stuff from them before. They're pretty good about aftermarket parts. So our next step will be getting that intake boot off of the bike and get the new one on. And like I said, I was going to wait to the end and then put the carburetor boot on, but it'll probably run better with everything hooked up. So I guess we'll just go ahead and put the carburetor boot on the back, and if I have to, I'll figure out something on that where that's cracked. Might put some silicone or something on it. But she's all back together, nice and neat and clean. So we'll go ahead and install this intake boot, and this one, and we'll get it going. So I removed the air box and I got the new carburetor boot installed, and now we're going to put the rear boot on the air box. Only thing you have to do is just loosen this section of the frame, and it swings down. Loosen your ECU box, which it was already loose. It's supposed to have a strap holding it onto the box. And here's the air box here. You can see where they just whacked off the front of that. Now I don't know if this is actually the part of the air box. It says, what's that, 1.25 inch drain pipe. So that might just be some kind of hose, but they did whack it off. But this is the boot that they had rigged up. I think they snatched the carburetor off of it, and then they just put this pipe or hose on the other end, and the seal was all smushed and not even in place. So anyway, we got to remove this part of the boot so we can put on the new one. So we'll get that ready. Like I said, I wasn't going to put the airbox together yet, but I figured might as well slide it on there. So it looks like it's just Phillips head screws. It's all self-threaded. Tell these screws ain't never been loose. They got some rust on them. Looks like that one might be a 8mm. Or 15 and 16. About to find one. Gotta find all my sockets are out of order, so there we go. Wash over there. I guess this right here pops out of there. We'll leave it in there. Question is, how you get that? How would you get it out of there? That's the next question. Looks like you got to remove this little canister, which that is. There we go. Yep. That's going to be a 9:30 seconds. Nope, smaller than that. Smaller than a 9:30 seconds. Size of that dude. 1/4 inch, maybe. Yeah, I think it's 1/4. Nope, smaller than that. What size is that? Oh, it is 1/4. I thought the other one was 1/4. They might have ripped this boot in half when they took the carb out. And they just cut a piece of a hose from the hardware store and made it into a carburetor boot. That impatient people. Sometimes these old rubber boots on these carburetors, they get hard and they won't come out. Rest of it's riveted in. That ain't gonna come out with this on there. Oh, it has to. That was on the back. And you gotta look like tuck it inside of the air box to get it out. Hopefully we don't damage the other one. But there's the one that's cut anyway. So don't need that. So the new one we gotta do the same way. I don't like that, but there's no way to get it. We're just tearing up this one. Tell you what, I'm gonna spray a little lube. Tear up the bad one, but not the good one. Now we'll just snake that in there. Be careful not to just gotta turn around this way. Yeah, it's a lot of work. just for that. This would be best to line up the little flange before you stick it through the box. They didn't make this friendly. Was it user friendly? There it goes. Oh, that bracket's got to go there. I think it had a washer and a screw. I forgot. Just that fast. Like it had two washers there. Then it had that. I might be wrong. But actually, I think it was a screw on top of that. I made a boo-boo. I took it off so fast I didn't see it. Let's just get something to hold it. I think those small washers go around everything else. Don't look like it. Yeah, it looks like it was just bolted up. It's funny. Well, I can see where it looks like the indentation of a washer, so I don't know. We'll just put it together like that. It's not going to hurt anything. Now at least that'll hold it till I figure out where I messed up. So I know one of them had two screws on it. Funny how you can forget that stuff that quick. back and it went like that. How did I get that? I think it was missing one up here. Well, anyway, I'll finish putting this in. I don't want to bore y'all, but you get the picture. I'll figure it out. So there's the boot. I just got to put this little box back on top of there, get it back in the bike, and put the hose clamp on it. Okay, so I got the air box back in, all nice and neat. Got our fuel line hooked up. I stuck another screw right here because that other little screw was stripped out, and that's what was causing the oil leak. So hopefully it don't leak anymore. It had like a little brass washer on it. It looked like it was kind of stripped. So also got the battery in it. Got it all in there tight. So now it's time to see how it runs with the carburetor being clean and gone through, and the new accelerator pump. I didn't change the oil yet because I couldn't get the drain plug loose at the bottom. It is on there super tight, and I said, well, I'll just wait because I might have to order a new one. I couldn't get it off to even drain it, so I got the filter, and I stopped by motorcycle shop. Got a new set of bars. These are brand new takeoff bars off of a KLR 300, and they took them off a brand new bike because the guy wanted a set of rentals, I guess. He didn't want the factory ones. So I bought these, picked these up cheap, and I got the oil filter. But like I say, I can't get the oil drain. So we'll be putting the bars on and the front fender once we make sure she's all running good and everything, and get the oil changed. So let's just see. Will it even fire up? I'm anxious to see how it runs now that I got all that other stuff straightened out with the carb. Hopefully it don't leak any gas. Float should be still set. And turn the choke on. I don't see anything leaking. Still got nothing. Might have to hit it with some starter fluid. I really hate to hit it with starter fluid, but that might be the best bet to do. That means I'll have to take the air filter back out. I would have thought that carburetor would have filled up by now. If it don't run right this time, it's gonna have to have a new carburetor, which they are expensive. trying. Set right, or she wanted to run away there for a minute. Got a small fuel leak on the fuel line. Probably have to put a different type of clamp on it. Still hard to start. Trying to set the air screw is hard to do it. Put it on reserve. Don't want to idle. Still. That's how it works with the air box. Air filter on it. Strange. It still don't want to idle on its own. It might have some valves that need to be adjusted. Maybe the intake valves. change. Well, I'm going to have to do some checking into it. Maybe the valves need to be adjusted, the intake valves. As you see, it'll run, but it'll try and run away, and I have to idle it down, but then it don't want to stay idling, and the cut right back off. So it only can be the intake valves need to be adjusted, or the carburetor is still jacked up. Let's try it one more time. I was trying to put the air filter in it, and maybe that'll put more back pressure. Through the carburetor. I'm thinking we might have carburetor issues. I'm gonna have to check the needle and seat again. Maybe we need to adjust the float and check the carburetor again. And if that's not it, probably have to get into it don't sound like it's nothing with the valves. I mean, it revs up pretty good, but it's like it's not pulling enough fuel. But it could be valves need to be adjusted. Maybe they're kind of tight. They need to be loosened up a little bit. So I'm gonna do some more checking into it and figure out what the problem is. So I went ahead and took the carburetor back off the bike and did some checking on some things with it, and before I really went to checking the valves, because I don't think it's the valves, I just took it back apart and went and picked up a ultrasonic cleaner and broke it all back down, and I'm just going to leave it in there. We'll do it the right way instead of soaking it. We'll actually put it in the ultrasonic cleaner and let it do its thing. Did some research online, and they were saying you can use this shim dip carb cleaner, but it has to be this number. Something about it's water based or something. So there's several chemicals you can use. I've heard of dishwashing liquid, vinegar, They got some kind of ultrasonic cleaner stuff you can put in it. But I'm going to try the shim dip. I've already had one bucket of it, so I picked up another bucket and just letting it do its thing. So hopefully after it gets done, we'll put it back together again and we get better results out of the bike. So just hang tight. I'm gonna let this do its thing and I'll get it back together and we'll see what we got. Hopefully it runs like it's supposed to. So I let it run and you can see she got up to, what was it, 60 degrees. I let it run for about 20 minutes and hopefully it cooked all that crap out of there. And we're gonna stick it back together, get it back on the bike like I said, and hopefully this solves the problem of it not running well. And we'll get this thing together, be able to take it for the first ride. Just like everything else, you do all that work and then you gotta be able to ride it and see what it's gonna do. So I'm gonna get this thing out of here, get it cleaned back up again, you know, get all the carburetor clean off of it and put it back together. So here she is out of the ultrasonic cleaner, and she is looking really clean this time, soaking it. And I went ahead and threw the bowl off in there for about 10 minutes, and I don't know if you can hear that, but you can hear all the little check balls shaking around in there. There's one down in that area right there, and there's one right there. So I don't remember if they were free before I kind of cleaned through it the first time, but they are free now. They're moving around, so that's good. So spray a little carburetor cleaner at it out the can. I'm gonna let it dry out overnight and then we'll put it back together. So I'm pretty confident now that it's gonna run like it's supposed to. So, but we will see. So we'll get it back together. Well, I've been working on this thing for about a week now. I've had the carburetor apart about 5 times. Ultrasonic cleaned it. Let it soak for about 2 days in the ultrasonic cleaner, and every time I get a chance I crank it up and let it do its thing. Thoroughly cleaned it, and it's just gonna need a carburetor. It'll sit here and idle for a little bit and then it'll just die out, and you can get it cranked back up if you use the choke, and it'll sit there and idle for a little bit, and then once you hit the gas it just cuts off. I don't think it's nothing with the valve train. I did actually ride it, like I said, I had to keep it running. It rode pretty good, but every time I come to a stop it just dies. So I don't even know if it'll crank back up. I'm really thinking that carburetor is just trash up inside of it where the idle circuit is. It's just got some bad gas. It's hardened up and it just won't come up out of there. Like I say, I've had the jets out and really checked them, played with the air screw, put a new spark plug in it, and she still won't idle right. So what I'm gonna do is just try and find a carburetor for it. I did find one, but it was like $300-400, and I really don't want to put that in a carburetor on this thing. So I'm just gonna have to just find a carburetor, try and find something that'll work on it. Maybe a TTR 125 might be the same. Might have to change the jets. I did find those carburetors a little cheaper, but I need to make sure that the bore of the intake boot is the same on a 250, because I don't want to buy the carburetor and the intake boot is too big and can't bolt the carburetor up. But motor does run good, no smoke. But like I said, I just can't get it to accelerate right sometimes, and it won't idle. But once you ride it, it's got good power. Clutch feels good, gears feel good. It's just when you come to a stop with it, it just shuts off. And so it's definitely in the carburetor. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play with it a little bit more with the air screw settings, and if that don't work, I'm just gonna go ahead and just look for a carburetor for it. So I just wanted to give you all a quick update on it. Like I say, between here and there, I've been working on it, got a lot of other stuff going on, and I was hoping that carburetor was going to pan out after we put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. But so anyway, that's going to be it for right now on it. Like I say, we'll try and get this thing going with a different carburetor on it, or hopefully we can find a used one that's good. But if not, we'll see what we can put on it that'll work the same. So y'all just stay tuned for it. I know y'all been waiting on it. But like I said, the carburetor's just been giving me so many issues. The guy I got it from, he did say it's set up for a couple years. The guy he got it from, and of course they played around with the carburetor and couldn't get it going. So we'll get it going. We just gotta do something different. So just hang tight, and we'll just holler at y'all later. So just keep looking out for it, and y'all be safe. It just won't idle. It'll idle for a little bit, then it's just quit. It actually was trying to come around, but it won't crank unless you put choke on. Dies. I mean, I've never seen a carburetor do this before. It'll idle as long as you don't rev it, and then once you let off of it, once you go to rev it, revs up good, and then it just cuts out. You gotta put the choke on and crank it. gonna need a carburetor, folks. So let me see what I can hunt up, and we'll try and get this thing back in the woods.